We remember the recent 9/11 that has passed, and we send our condolences to the families that were affected by this tragedy.
It's all the terrorists' fault. Down with Bin Laden and the Al-Qaeda. All Arab and Islamic are evil and heartless.
No, we have to fix this mentality. So why was Kenji dissing the Arabs and the Islamic people? I mean, yes, it's true that some of them may be terrorists, but not all of them are. Everyone's different.
Yeah, the 9/11 and the Gaza Strip shows that they are terrorists.
You know, they're not all too bad. You know, they made a lot of contributions to our world right now.
Like what? The Pythagorean theorem and the herbal medicines. Westerners would obviously figure that out in time.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, my friend. While Clovis and the other kings in the West were using religion to unify their people, the Arabs and the Islamic people were flourishing in a lot of aspects.
For one thing, they created a lot of universities wherever Islamic religion was spreading. They created schools in Egypt, Baghdad, and even as far as southern Spain.
As Kenji said a while ago, the Pythagorean theorem is one of the more recognizable contributions of the Arab and Islamic people. You can blame them for nerve-wracking homework, but they sure did an advance in human development.
The Arabs and Islamic people used to pass knowledge of Greeks, Indians, and Persians as their basis for their physical science. Although some of them went against their religious beliefs, the advancements made were still highly regarded.
In the Islamic civilization, the most highly regarded people were the Hakim or the sages. They often spoke poetically to document their insights on medicine, physical science, and mathematics.
The amount of Hakims or sages that contributed to the Islamic civilization and ultimately to the world is way too big to mention in this crash course. Bottom line is, they did a lot of impressive things.
You're right. They made so much contributions that we can't say it all in one video. Arabic numerals, algebra, geometry, properties of light, astronomical calculations, and they even calculated the length of a year. These are only a fraction of what the Arab and Islamic people contributed to the world.
No, we already know how much the Arab and Islamic people contributed to human development. So why do we still, why does this hate still exist for them? Again, based on observation, it's because we know how the Western people, they're the ones who always have a great big influence on people, and because of this influence that the Westerners have, we always choose to believe their word because they're the ones who seem to have a lot more authority over what they say. But that's not always the case, and because of this Western influence, we always perceive Muslims or Islamic people to be these people that don't deserve, well, to some extent, to even live because most of them, we always identify them as terrorists, but that's not always the case. And it still exists because we know how the Western influence played a huge role on today's superpowers such as America, and we know how they have a lot of influence in the world, and perhaps that's why most Islamic people today are being treated unjustly and unfairly. Okay, to answer the question as to how this stereotype regarding the Arabs actually started was based on a lot of classroom discussion and observation. It's because we have to take into consideration how the Arabs and the Western people, there were a lot of factors that made these indifferences show, and some of these are because the Arabs they thought differently and the contributions they had were different. And a major factor that I'd like to point out is religion, because we know that how religion played a great role in society before and how it affected their livelihood and their purposes. And when we think of Islam and Christianity, we always see how Christianity prevails over it, but that's not always the case. And it's just because because of these indifferences, we see that how Muslim people are being treated unfairly just because of their identity, and that shouldn't be a problem in our world.